we all we all have this perception of our belief systems, but do we really know what these belief systems are for, why they're created, and how they influence our life? So let's talk about how these belief systems creates the reality that we're living in. I know most of us believe that our inner belief systems is just our beliefs, but it governs our entire reality. It governs our everyday life. It governs everything that we live by and everything that we do. Everything that we see and experience is being governed by these inner belief systems. So I choose and love to call it systems of consciousness because they are conscious. Every single belief system that we have in our life is conscious on one level or another. Yes, they might not be conscious of all the choices that you make, they might not be conscious of your day to day life per se, and they might not know exactly the dreams and hopes you have for the future. Because when these systems of consciousness were created, they were created with this one goal in life, and that is to keep you alive at all costs by any means. So, whatever their design is, whatever they are created for, they will indefinitely serve that purpose. They're like your best friend that will never stop helping you until you tell them to, until you tell them, well done, good and faithful servant. Mission complete. You may now rest, or let me show you a different path. A lot of us have all these mantras that we say to ourselves of I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am this, I am that, but we never see the effects. Because when we look at the fundamental aspect of how our systems of consciousness work, is as follows. Let's say you have a system that keeps you abundant in lack, or a system that is made for procrastination or self sabotage. These systems will always serve their purpose. They'll always create these loops in your life indefinitely for as long as you live. And even from past lives and into future lives, these systems will run indefinitely, for they are living entities. So when these systems are started, they are created in that space where that soul fracture occurred. And when you go through your life and you just choose or decide to create something different, and you say, but I am wealthy, or I am this, or I am that, but that inner system of yours is created to do something different, then they will by default create a different reality for you. So in my life, I was in that same space of creating these systems of consciousness where I didn't know that I was creating an abundance of lack in my life. I didn't know I was creating all these, or I had these systems that creates a reality where I'll never be abundant, where I'll never be healthy, where I'll never be happy or truly embody my highest excitement, because they were created based on the way I grew up. I grew up in this reality of money is evil. Money is the root of all evil. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, where you grow up in a space or from religion where they say, but money is the root of all evil. You have to get rid of it, but you need it to survive. And now you create this inner system of consciousness that creates this reality where you cannot be abundant. So now how the hell do you create a life where you have financial stability, but you have these inner belief systems or systems of consciousness that's creating the opposite? Now you can go to all kinds of seminars, you can go to all kinds of places and listen to TED Talks and whatever it is to create all these new systems to say, but I am healthy, I am wealthy, I'm going to do step 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to write down my 5 plan for my future. But you neglect to see that you have this internal systems of consciousness that are created to create an abundance of lack in your life. And as long as you have these systems that are creating an abundance of lack in your life, how can you reach that abundance? So you'll see a lot of people out there are saying, just follow my 5 simple step part to create this abundance in your life, and you will be abundant. You will reach that 6 figures in the next year or two. And they ride this dopamine wave of getting you excited. You invest your time, your money, your energy into something that is set up to fail, because they know they leave out the most important part, and that is the part of your systems of consciousness that is creating a different reality for you. Now, you do all these things, you pay the money, you go to the seminars, you do their course, if it's a week or a month, and you experience temporal abundance. You see small changes happening in your life for a very short period of time, and then everything goes to shit again. And you ask yourself, what the hell has happened? Why isn't this working? And you become so upset because I have done exactly what this person said. I've listened to the talks. I've done step 1 through to 5, or how many steps they tell you to do. I've done all the work, but now I'm back at square one. I lost everything. I invested everything that I had, and now I am broke again. How the hell am I supposed to reach this abundance? They lied to me. And in a sense, yes, but also no, because they leave out that crucial part of systems of consciousness. They have worked on those systems. Everybody that has ever made anything in life and got anywhere, they have that systems of consciousness that is working together with them. Systems that are in harmony for that life that they want to live. So when we start creating or choosing to create a life that we want to live, we have to get to the space of realizing that we've got these internal systems of consciousness that are running indefinitely, and they are creating a specific reality for us. Whether you want to hear this or not, our internal systems are creating our reality. Yes, we have the driver's seat. Yes, we are able to steer our reality in the direction we want to steer it. But for most of the time, for most of our life, our internal systems of consciousness is steering our reality. That's the way, as conscious creator beings, we have set up this reality. We have set it up in a way that we can live our life not needing to be conscious of every single part of life. That is why we created internal systems of consciousness, so that they can work in the background, so that they can create our reality seamlessly. For we are master creators, we are the master builders, we are masters in reality and creation and choice. I love the way my wife will say it. She'll say, this reality is choice. It's nothing but choice. And as we go through life, we always choose what we want to create. We always choose where we want to go. Now, knowing that our internal systems is steering our reality, is creating our reality, how do we then attain abundance? How do we then attain that life that we truly desire to live? Actually, very simple. We go and sit with that systems, whether you are somebody that prays, whether you're somebody that meditates, somewhere you have to go and sit in that quiet space and start talking to that internal systems of consciousness. But there is a catch. There's always a catch. Everybody will always say, yes, but where's the catch? But here is the catch. The catch is that most of the times, these internal systems of consciousness, they don't trust you. Because somewhere you learned that they are evil, that they are bad, that they don't work for you, and you try to get rid of them. Maybe you tried to kill them because you thought they were something external. Maybe you thought they were something outside of you, but actually they are just that internal systems of consciousness. So they don't trust one part of what you say. You might say, yeah, but system, I love you now, and I understand you, and they will be like, hell no. For the last 10 years, for the last 30 years, for the last 50 years, you have done nothing but rebuke me, and you tried to cast me out. You thought I was a demon. You thought I was evil. You thought I was bad. But actually, I was just doing the job you created me to do. You gave me this one directive, and that is to keep you alive at all costs. And my function was to self-sabotage, or to keep you broke, or to keep you abundant in lack. And now suddenly you want to be my friend again. Now suddenly you want my help. No way. So now you get to this dilemma of how the heck do I take that power back? How do I get my systems to create a reality that I love once again? If you want to know how to do that, go to my bio, schedule a call, and we can talk about how to do that. But before you do that, know this. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, if you're not willing to invest your time, if you're not willing to invest your energy, if you're not willing to invest your thoughts, if you're not willing to invest your finances, then you will not reach it, because everybody that has ever made it in life, they have invested these 4 parts of their life to be able to create that abundance in their life. You cannot create anything in your life if you don't invest these 4 things. These are the 4 most critical things anybody can invest. You can ask anybody that is super rich or super wealthy or super successful. All of them will tell you the 4 things that they have invested in their life was their time, their thought, their energy, and their finances. And yes, maybe you might be in a position where you say, but I really do not have money. I really do not have anything left at the end of the month, because my life is set up in such a way that when I get my salary, it all goes to food, rent, and all the other responsibilities I have, my children, my partner, whatever. And yes, I do understand that, because sometimes we have these systems of consciousness set up in such a way that they keep us broke. But there is a way out. There is a way to create that abundance again. There is a way to get your inner systems to work with you again. And that is something I am here to help with, because I've done that with my own life. When I first started with this journey, learning about inner systems of consciousness, I was broke as fuck. There was no way that I was able to afford anything, regardless of how great it sounded, regardless of how pretty the promises was. There was no way in hell that I would have been able to invest my money, even though I had the time, even though I had the energy, even though I had the thoughts, the dreams, that hopes. I knew there was no way that I could invest in my life. I lost my job at that moment in that time of my life, when I first started working with my chakras, and I started working with my internal systems of consciousness. But it's possible when we start to create that intention. And here's a little secret I can share with you guys. The way to start is to make a choice, to say, I choose. And whatever follows, that will become your reality, because our internal systems, they do want change. They do want rest. They do want you to be abundant. They do want you to be healthy and wealthy and alive and happy. But they are programmed in a specific way to create a specific outcome. And as long as they only know what they are created and programmed to do, they won't know how to get you to that end result. So when you go sit with yourself and you say, you know what, let's stop all the affirmations, let's stop the prayers and the tantrums and whatever it is you're doing, drinking or whatever habits you have formed to try and numb the shit you are in your reality, because you're not living your ultimate dream. And you sit with yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose to be different. I'm going to make these choices until something happens. And guess what? Something will happen when you start communicating to the universe that I am ready to change. I choose something different. Then your systems will say, aha, but this guy is now talking a different language. It's not fundamentally going against our purpose. Because here is how it works. When you have a system of self-sabotage, or let's say a system that creates an abundance of lack, and you say, I am abundant, fundamentally you are trying to do something that's not in alignment with that system of consciousness, because their purpose is to create an abundance of lack. And now when you start saying, but I am wealthy. You're going against their fundamental programming. But when you start saying, I choose wealth, what are you doing here? You're making a choice. You're telling that internal system, listen, there's a different path. I can choose something different. And they'll look at you and say, but this guy is choosing a different path now. He's not denying my purpose or my existence, but he's making a different choice. A choice to be something different, a choice to be in a different space in his or her life. Maybe I can start trusting you again. Maybe I can change. Maybe let's go and have a look at what this guy is saying, at what this guy is choosing, and maybe I can shift along and start creating that kind of reality as well. And the more we start working with these inner systems, the more we start making these choices of saying, but I choose abundance, I choose wealth, I choose health, I choose freedom, I choose myself. The more we start choosing, the more our systems will follow, the more they'll start changing. But as soon as you say that I am this, I am that, they're straight going to tell you, fuck you, I'm not going to come with you, I'm not going to change. And this is why all these programs of creating wealth in 4 steps or creating abundance in 5 steps never works. It only works for those whose systems aligns already with those choices. So when you make the choice of saying, but I choose, then you can get there. But without the choice, you'll never get there. And then you have to take the actionable steps. Remember, guys, just making a choice and still sitting on your butt. If you are fat and lazy and you're sitting on the couch and you want to be skinny and fit, will you ever get there if you stay on the couch and just keep on watching Netflix? No, fuck no. There's no fucking way you'll ever get there. You have to physically get off your butt. Yes, first you're going to make the choice and say, I choose to be healthy again, I choose to be fit, and I choose to be active. Then you have to go over in action. Then you have to get off your butt and start exercising, whether you go for hikes or rowing or go to the gym. You have to actually do something. You have to invest. The word investment comes from I think it's the Latin or Greek that says invested mind. So your mind needs to be investment. So investmente, invested mind. You have to invest your mind. You have to invest your time. You have to invest your energy. And where needed, most of the times, you have to invest your finances. Because that financial aspect is the appreciation of value. Listen, guys, I have to be very clear on this point. Remember, money is not an energy. Money is not an evil thing. Money comes from gold. So let me give you a little history here about how it works. Money is connected to the amount of gold in a reserve bank. So the country's currency is only as strong as the amount of gold it holds. And gold is specifically chosen because it's a neutral energy. It cannot be polarized. Gold cannot be magnetized, so it can't be in essence positive or negative. It's always neutral. This is why money is connected to gold, because it's a perfectly neutral energy. Now you might say, yeah, but money is evil. The only way you think or believe that is because somewhere you have an internal system of consciousness that believe it's evil. That is why you'll never attain wealth. That's why you'll never attain freedom in your life, because as long as you have a negative, polarized perception regarding finances, you will always stay in that rut. You will never have finances because your internal systems of consciousness will make sure you don't have it. Does that make sense? As long as you have that perception, as long as you have that view in life, you'll never attain it. So money is a neutral thing. It's perfectly neutral. It's just the appreciation of value. So whenever you go to the grocery store and you go buy food and you see, but this thing is now $25 and yesterday it was $20, you're like, but fuck, why is it so expensive? You have a negative view on you don't appreciate the food that you buy. And yes, we can talk and elaborate a lot about inflation and economy and why things are overpriced and all these BS. But when you go out of a different mindset and you go to the grocery store and you see, I spent $1,000 on groceries today. I invested $1,000 on myself today so that I can live a healthy life. That changes the entire perspective regarding what you do. Because when you spend money on buying food, what are you doing? You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your well-being. If you're just buying junk food and sweets and Coke and all the very, very unhealthy things, you're still investing in yourself. Even if it's investing in a lack of health, you're still investing in yourself. So we have to choose, coming back to that choice, excuse me, we have to choose whether we want to be abundant in health, abundant in lack, abundant in riches, abundant in freedom, abundant in extra fat or extra muscles. It's a choice we have to make. Now, it all comes back again to those internal systems of consciousness, shifting our perception from lack to abundance, shifting our perception from the negative side of the world to the positive side, or maybe just a neutral perspective. Because when we go into that neutral place in our heart, into that 0 point, we are able to see both sides and we can choose. I love the way Bashar will always talk about we have this perfect opportunity to always choose. We're always either abundant in lack or abundant in health or abundant in joy, but we're always abundant because we are master creators of our reality, and our internal systems of consciousness is seamlessly creating this reality. So if your desire is to be financially wealthy, if your desire is to be fit, healthy, if your desire is to be happy again, if your desire is to live a life that you truly love, then you have to start choosing. Because if you don't choose, you'll never get there, and your systems will never get to trust you. When you go back to the fundamental part of how life is created, how we created and set up this reality, is having these internal systems of consciousness to run our reality so that we can spend our conscious part of our mind, our energy on the things that we desire, on the things that we love. Imagine for a moment how it would feel like if every aspect of your life you had to do consciously, if every system of consciousness you had to consciously decide whether I'm going to breathe, whether the blood is going to run through my veins, whether my heart is going to beat, whether my immune system is going to run. Imagine how busy you're going to be if you don't have these background systems running, doing the things that you don't want to consciously focus on. Yeah, sometimes we want to hold our breath, or we want to slow down our heartbeat, or whatever it is you want to do. Then it's nice to take conscious action and control over that system. The same goes for creating our reality. We have to choose, do I want my internal systems of consciousness to create seamlessly a reality that is in alignment with my heart's desire, with my highest excitement, or am I going to go against them? Let's look at it in a different way. If you are floating down a river on a tube, what would you rather want to do? Would you rather want to row against the current because you saw something way back there on a rock, a beautiful tree with apples, and now you want to row all the way back to try and get those apples, but the stream is pushing you in one direction? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to trust in the universe that there's going to be another apple tree down the stream and I'm going to row inside the stream? Now we also have to remember that being on that river in the flow doesn't mean I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to sing a lullaby and I'm just going to leave everything up to chance, and when I hit the rapids and tear my little tube against a rock, now I'm going to be fucking crazy mad, batshit crazy, because the universe had steered me into a rock. I was going with the flow. how the fuck is this working? You know, you also have to be a little responsible and saying, yes, I'm in the stream, I'm in the river. I choose to row with the river. I'm going to keep my eyes on the water. I'm going to look at the banks. Yes, I'm going to enjoy it when the water is nice and slow. Then I'm going to take it slow. I'm gonna watch the scenery, I'm gonna have a little nap, but when the water speeds up again, the river gets narrow, the rapids come, I'm gonna look forward. I'm gonna choose to row inside the river, and I'm gonna go with the current actively. I'm gonna be actively a part of this flow of my life. From stagnation to activation. You don't want to stay stagnant, you want to move. What happens when water gets stagnant? It rots, right? As soon as water moves, it's fresh, it flows. There's this beautiful magic about water that's flowing. And water is energy, it's memory. And that's the same with our internal reality. As long as there's flow, there's life. As long as we're stagnant, we rot. Sometimes, yes, sometimes stagnation, being still for a moment, can be a place of rest, true. Like when you go to bed at night, you want to take a nap, you want to rest, you want to do nothing for a while so that you can rekindle your energy, so that you can take a breath and say, okay, let me look what happened today or this week, recuperate my energy and say, oh, okay, I like this, I prefer this, or I prefer that. Because the universe is going to send us options, choices, every single day of our lives. And we need to choose which options we're going to choose. A lot of times you get to this crossroad in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many options. I don't know what option to choose. But there's options. It's like, but the universe showed me this. This option is available. It doesn't mean you have to take that option. It's just an option. We always have that choice. We set up our reality in such a way that there is an abundance of choices or options. And we have the ability and we have the opportunity to always choose. Am I going to go in this direction? Am I going to go in that direction? But now it all comes back to that systems of consciousness again. Our systems is going to nudge us in a specific direction because maybe they are created to create that abundance in lack. Maybe they are created to create that abundance of misery or cancer or whatever is detrimental to your perfect state of being. Now you're going to look at these options that the universe provides you, and you're going to choose a specific option because your systems is here at the back saying, choose this, because that is their purpose, that is their fundamental creation, is to steer you in the direction of what they are created for. So to be able to create a life that you love, so to be able to create that abundance, to be able to create that joy, that freedom, if you want to travel the world and see all the megalithical structures or all the beautiful technologies out there, the same way I want to do, soon going to start traveling, can't wait for it, just setting up visas and passports and all these amazing things to be able to travel the world. You have to make that choice. You have to go and look at those internal systems of consciousness and say, oh my gosh, here I have a system that says its purpose is fear from going anywhere. A lot of people have that fear. They never leave their hometown. I hope all of you have traveled at least out of your town. And if you haven't, you better get out of your town and see the world, because traveling is the most expansive thing you can ever do for yourself. But if you're afraid, if you have that internal system of consciousness saying, I have to stay in my town because it's safe, and that is their sole purpose, they'll probably sabotage you, that you'll never be able to leave. And you might ask, but how the heck am I going to change this system? First of all, you have to understand you do not want to say the system is something bad. You do not want to tell that system it's wrong. or irrelevant, or try to get rid of it, or kill it, destroy it, cast it out, whatever it is you want to do, stop, don't do that. That's not how we work with our systems. We want to accept them, we want to acknowledge them. Because remember, guys, we are conscious creators. We are in command of our reality, and we have the ability to choose where we want to steer our reality. And because we are one, because there is no separation, if you're going through this journey of expansion, this journey of remembrance, you will know that there is no separation. Even science has proven this. Science has showed us how if you influence a particle, let's say here in South Africa, and there is a particle on the other side of the universe, it'll react instantaneously. They even have done a project where they'll take, let's say the husband, put him in a room in this building, they'll put the wife in a building, and then let's say the wife has to think about something specific, and then they test the husband, and as soon as the wife sends that thought, the husband picks up on it, proving that time and space is a complete illusion. Everything is always connected. So because everything is always connected, trying to get rid of something that you feel is negative in your life will not work, because it's a part of you. Everything is a part of you. Everything in your reality is a reflection of what your internal systems of consciousness is creating. So when you start looking at your reality in a neutral perspective, and you see that everything is communicating what's inside of you. This was one of the toughest things I had to go through, because as soon as I realized, but oh my gosh, my outside world is just a perfect mirror reflection of my inside reality, I realized that, oh my gosh, what is going on inside of me? Why is my outside world looking so screwed up, so cluttered, so deprived from beauty and enjoyment and all these pretty things that I wanted? But that placed me in this position, this beautiful, beautiful position of saying, okay, obviously my internal systems are talking to me, and they are manifesting through, let's say, abundance in lack, which I had more than enough of. I had enough abundance in lack and financial. My financial situation was the worst ever. So then I realized, okay, thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing up, because I know you're a part of me. Thank you for providing me with the information that I need to start choosing differently. And for the first time in my life, as I was embodying my chakra, starting to go through this process, I realized that there is hope again. My systems are communicating to me. So let's start with what is closest, because obviously whatever is communicating the loudest around me is what desires my attention the most. And as I started focusing on the most prominent things around me, looking at those systems, inviting them back home, working with my source self and using my source self to integrate those perceptions, teaching myself again how to sit with my internal systems, to really sit on my butt, be quiet. One of the things that happened to me was my systems created such a big influx in my life that I had no job, no money, nowhere to go. So I was all alone at home every single day with nothing to do and nowhere to go. I couldn't even go outside for a walk because I had zero energy. My health was at an all-time low. And the only thing I could do was sit quiet with myself. For the first time in my life, I realized how difficult it is to sit with myself. I don't know who of you can sit with yourself for half an hour, maybe 2 hours. Really just sit quiet, not be on Facebook or watch stories, just truly sitting with yourself. listening to the internal conversation that's going on in your head, your systems talking to you, yourself talking to yourself. Then you start realizing, but oh my gosh, there's a lot going on that I am completely oblivious to, completely unaware of. And now I'm in this beautiful position where I can start communicating back and start to listen to what my systems of consciousness is telling me. And they were telling me a bunch. Yes, I was also using a lot of marijuana. I almost want to say I was using a little bit of marijuana, but I was smoking quite a lot. But it raised my vibration to a space where I was able to listen and truly listen. One beautiful thing about some of these sacred plants is it numbs that frontal cortex. It numbs that part of your brain that wants to be in control. And then you are able to sit still and truly listen to what your systems have to say. And once you start doing that, once you start truly listening to your systems, you'll be surprised at what they tell you. And it's usually not that bad. It's usually not that difficult. So creating that abundance in your life, creating that life that you truly love, it all comes down to a couple of simple and easy steps that you need to take in your life. It's most of the time not as bad as we think it is. Yes, we are creating an abundance of lack. We self-sabotage. We procrastinate. We tell ourselves elaborate stories to get out of discipline. Because so many times we are willing to go to the doctor if there's something bothering us. We're listening to this Gandhi on Facebook or Sadhguru or Bashar. But as soon as it comes down to discipline, we're like, nope, no freaking way. I'm not going to do that. But we have to weigh. You have to put your choices, you have to put your reality on a scale and say, what is it that I truly want? Do I want to stay in this uncomfortable, sticky situation of just getting by every day? Do I want to look at social media and see how other people are truly enjoying their life, living a life that they love, traveling the world, having financial abundance, and I'm going to sit on my couch and be miserable? Or I'm going to make that choice to say, I want to live that life as well, and get up and go and do something. If this is something you want to create, head over to my bio, book a call, and we can talk about how we can create that as well. But remember, we have to activate our inner oomph again, that inner fire, and say, I want to burn bright, because it's possible. If I could do it, you can do it as well. If I could embark on this journey of mastering my chakras and mastering the ability and the knowledge of working with my internal system, so could you. So can you. It's absolutely possible. There's nothing we cannot do if we put our mind to it. And with a little bit of guidance, with a community that truly understands where you're heading, with a coach, with a guide, it's absolutely possible. Because guys, there's one truth in this world, is we cannot do it alone. You might say, yes, but I've been doing everything alone in my life and it's been working just fine. If you're not creating six figures, if you're not traveling the world, if you're not embodying that life that you truly love, then doing it alone, is it then really working? Right? So if you're not creating that absolute abundance in your life, and with abundance, I'm not only referring to financial abundance, I'm referring to that abundance of joy as well, to abundance in all the pretty things you want to do, to be able to travel, or to build your self-sustaining community, or create the business that you desire to break free from whatever this is you have in your life, to step into your power, to unlock your magic. Maybe you're like me and you want to command dragons and be able to see fairies and speak in all kinds of different light languages or whatever it is you want to do. I know for myself, when I started on this journey, I knew there had to be more when it comes to the spiritual side of things, but coming from a religious background, you were taught that all things mystical is evil, it's from the devil, it's BS, it doesn't exist, but you always knew there were more. For I remember as a child, there were these lyran beings that would show up into my bedroom when I went to sleep, and it scared the living daylight out of me because I didn't understand. And then you were taught that, oh, it's evil and this and that. And a couple of years ago, well, 6 years ago, for the first time I saw a dragon, a full-fledged dragon, for the first time in my life again, with my own eyes. And it changed me. And I was like, oh my gosh, the world of mystic is real. And since then, it's just been an amazing journey to go from absolute stagnation to activation, to truly activate my power once again, to step into a place where I can now sit here and speak to you guys and say with honesty and with, what's the word I'm looking for, with energy, that I'm living a life that I absolutely love. I'm living a life that is free. I'm living a life where I can go where I want to go, where I can do what I want to do. I'm in this position of knowing my own inner reality. For I know I am the master of my reality. For I know I am the master of how I live my reality. I'm in command of my energy. If you want to be in command of your energy, take that action, make that choice. If you don't know how to do that, talk to me. Send me a DM. Let's explore this reality. Let's explore how you can also come into the space of truly living a life that you love, for it's possible. I know it's possible because I've gone through this process. I was in such an amazing position to have met this two amazing Pleiadians, Aaron and Isla, that has showed me how to embody my chakras, how to master my own energy, how to work with my internal systems of consciousness. They have taught me and they have showed me how to do the work. But even they have told me, remember, they cannot do the work for you. I had to do it myself. They gave me the tools. They showed me how to embody my own truer self. They only supplied me with the tools, but I had to do the work. So if you think or feel that somebody's going to do it for you, you're in for a big surprise, because nobody is going to do it for you. You have to do the work yourself. Yes, people can supply you with the information. They can give you the tools. At the end of the day, where attention goes, energy flows, and that is what grows. And if your perceptions are aligned with creating a life that is full of negative things, full of self-sabotage, full of negatively polarized stuff, then that's where where your energy is going to go, and that's what's going to grow, because that is the flow in your life. When you start changing your perception and saying, yes, there is beautiful things in life. Yes, I can do it. I went from committing suicide to being the happiest person I know, being truly content with my life. How did I do that? I took the first step. I said, I choose. I choose to show up for myself. I choose a life that I love. I choose to be healthy. I choose to be abundant, and many, many, many more choices that I made through this journey of embodying my chakras, mastering my 13 chakra system. And if you have no idea what the 13 chakra system is, stick around. I might explain it to you if you'd like. Throw me a comment. If you've never even heard about chakras, that's okay. Science has proven and showed us also what the chakras are. The electromagnetic centers in our being, because we are an electric being. While this entire freaking reality is electromagnetical, science is now finally catching up, realizing seeing with their real eyes. They're finally realizing that this entire reality is electromagnetical. They'll admit that gravity doesn't suck, gravity doesn't exist, because everything is electric and magnetical. And the same way with our body, we are electric and magnetical. Every single cell in our body has an electrical charge. And in our body, we have these centers that generates this electrical magnetical charge, which we call the chakras. You can think back in the day when the ancients didn't have the term electricity and magnetism. They had to call these centers something, so they decided to call them chakras. If that is historically correct, I have no idea, but that's my perspective on it, because that's how I see it. We give something the name that we understand in a way that we understand it. So these electromagnetical centers in our body, they direct the flow of our energy. And when the flow is blocked, our reality becomes distorted. And how does this reality become distorted? Through our false perceptions of what is true, what is real, what is right, what is wrong. That creates these systems of consciousness that creates an abundance of lack, an abundance of joy, an abundance of dis-ease. Even growing old. You might say, yes, but we are created to grow up, grow old, and die. Bullshit. Science has showed that growing old is a choice. Because they have told us many moons ago, many moons ago, somebody told us that you're supposed to grow old and die, and then people started growing old and dying. We can actually take back that control and make the choice to say, but I can live as long as I choose. It's just a choice. Dr. Joe Dispenza was in a terrible accident, and he broke his back, and he didn't accept being in a wheelchair. He said to himself, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to choose to walk again. And he sat in meditation every day for, I think it was only 6 months. And he visualized how his spine is recovering, how the energy is flowing again, how the nerves are reconnecting to each other. He visualized how he was walking and how it felt like that energy, that end result energy of walking again. And then it happened. His spine reattached. He started walking again, and I could not explain how did he go from literal stagnation to literal activation in his life. He went from being in a wheelchair to walking just by thought alone, which proves that our reality is created through our thought patterns. And our thought patterns are governed by our inner systems of consciousness. So how do we reprogram our thought patterns? How do we reprogram our systems of consciousness? First, by choice. When we go and sit with these inner systems and we make the choice. It's something that I was taught in the 13 Chakra Masterclass that I can share with you guys if you would like to also learn how to master your chakras. Throw me a message, a DM, or go to my profile, and I can guide you in also embodying your chakra system, which was freaking amazing for me. You know, guys, there was on my journey the last 6 years when I started using psychedelics, and I thought that it's going to heal me and it's going to put me in this place of being my own master. You know, the first time I used a psychedelic, I thought I'm going to kill my ego and then I'm going to be the spiritual guru. But what I didn't know back then was when you kill your ego, that's your actual human. And when you kill your human, you're gone. So I went through an ego death, yes, My ego did die, my body did die about 5 or 6 times in that one experience, and then I came back and realized, holy shit, I am my ego. All I have to do is upgrade it. You know, in Afrikaans we have this beautiful word regarding our body. If you directly translate it to English, it literally says light body. So what I figured out was that our light body is reactive to what we put into it. So when I do my ceremonies, I work with cacao and I take people through the chakras as well, and we work with some internal resistance, do energetic tattoo activations as well. So I give this permission slip of ceremonial cacao. Then as we embark on this journey, through that permission that we give ourselves, we see how simple it is to work with our internal systems, how simple it is to get to know ourselves in a way that we never knew before. Now, I want you guys to also know that psychedelics or plant medicine or anything that we use, they cannot heal us. They cannot bring us to where we want to be. They cannot create that life that we truly want to live. They can only show us what we believe about ourselves. They can only show us the internal systems we have, how they are created, and what their purpose is. Our reality is set up in a way that medicine, psychedelics, plant medicine, any ceremony that you do is there to show you who you are and show you what you believe about yourself. Yes, you can experience physical healing, like with Mother Ayahuasca. If you go to a proper ayahuasca, a proper shaman, and they do a ceremony with you, you can absolutely experience physical healing. I've heard a lot of stories of how that happened. I've even had people, when I still served different medicines, which I won't mention here, where people experience physical healing because you go into this vibration of acceptance, of change, and you literally change your mind. And in that process of changing your mind about your reality changes. As simple as that. For we are a collection of memory, we're a collection of what we truly believe about ourselves. And when we change that belief about ourselves, our reality changes. But also, changing the belief we have about ourselves requires working with our internal systems of consciousness, for they are seamlessly creating our reality in the background. And as long as they are creating our reality, it will be exactly the way they create it. So if we want to change our reality, if we want to live a different kind of life, it's imperative that we start listening to our internal systems. It's imperative that we go and look at why. The how doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because the how is that there are systems, they are conscious, they are creating our reality, and when we acknowledge them, when we show them the love that they deserve, they can start trusting us again, and they can start creating a life that we love. So when I embarked on this journey of mastering my own chakras, starting to get to know my internal systems of consciousness, when I enrolled into the 13 chakra masterclass from Aaron and Isla at The Awakening Begins, freaking amazing people. If you guys haven't heard about them, you can just DM me and I will share their platform with you, where there's over 8,000 like-minded people talking and sharing, building together, mastering their chakras, etc. It's absolutely an amazing space to be a part of. It's such a beautiful place to know people that is heading in the same direction, where you can speak your truth, where there's no magic that you can talk about that will be strange or weird. That was one of the most magical things when I started working with Aaron and Isla, was that regardless of what I said, they always understood. It was the most freeing space to be in a place where people truly understand. I know a lot of you out there is living a life where you're expanding, you're going through this journey of awakening or remembrance, but you're all alone. You don't know how to reach other people because you're so surviving that you don't know how to reach out and find other people. So if that is you, then this is obviously the answer to your call of finding people to resonate with, finding people that's heading in the same direction. So reach out, let's chat. So mastering our inner systems, mastering our reality. At first, it might seem like not much is changing. I know when I went through my process of really getting to know my internal systems of consciousness, at first it didn't feel like much is changing in my life. I was like, okay, this is okay, but I'm not sure if this is working, but I've got nothing to lose, so let me invest all I have into this and see what happens. And by the end of the process that I was going through, not my life changed, not only my life changed, but also the lives of the people around me. The beautiful thing about reprogramming your internal systems of consciousness, the beautiful thing about integrating some of the systems that are tired and wants to integrate, the beautiful thing about letting systems rest for the first time in their existence, is it creates the opportunity and the allowance for everything in your life to change. Literally everything. Miracles, you might call it. Miracles, you might call it. The universe doing timeline shifts or reality jumps or whatever tickles your fancy. I've experienced all of those in my life because as soon as my reality started changing, as soon as my systems started creating a different reality in the background in alignment with that dream that I have, then everything started changing. I started experiencing timelines where all the people that I knew changed. And in my reality, I only know beautiful, happy people embodying the same reality as other people. I would literally stay in a town and people will tell me about all these negative things, all these bad things that's going on in town and all these bad people. I'm like, we must be living in two different universes because I don't experience it in the same way. And the single reason is my internal system started creating a life where everybody is beautiful, where I see all aspects of self as beautiful, as worthy, as valid. Remember, we are one. There is no separation. And knowing that there is no separation, knowing that everything is connected to everything and everybody is connected to everybody, knowing that every single person in your reality is a mirror reflection of you. The way I like to see it is the person I'm talking to, that is my most prominent aspect of consciousness or system of consciousness. So I want to treat that system with ultimate love. If you've never experienced unconditional love, this is how you experience unconditional love, is to see each and every single person you meet as a mirror reflection of an aspect of yourself. Let me say that again. If you truly want to experience unconditional love, see, feel, hear, and experience every single person you encounter as an aspect, a mirror reflection of you. Because nobody is separate, nobody is outside of you. Yes, in this physical terms, in this physical world, we are all separate, or that illusion of separateness, but in essence, we are all connected. There is no separation. So whenever you meet somebody, whenever you encounter somebody, see them as an aspect of yourself. And yes, I know I also have this thing of certain people I don't resonate with and they give me the heebie-jeebies. They freaking freak me out. I grew up in a way where My dad would always bring home people off the street, trying to help them because he really has this heart of truly helping people. But what happened was, in retrospect, was every single person he brought into our home from the street, they were all obviously alcoholics, because that's the only way you can sleep if you're on the street. And they were the best liars. Those are the people that gave up in life, and they're just trying to be like, they're like leeches. Even though they're still an aspect of consciousness, when I see people that are on the street and I drive in my car, I feel like I want to drive over them, because in my experience, in my reality, they were the people that deprived me from a father, because my dad spent more time attending to those people than with us, because he thought that as his children we are okay, and he needs to spend time with those people that have given up in life. So I created this internal struggle of wanting to get rid of every single person I see that's on the street, which is super contradictory, but that's how I grew up, and I have this resistance still against them, even though I can look at them and say, I know you're an aspect of me too. I know you're an aspect of consciousness. You're embodying a part of consciousness. And I'm so glad you're embodying that aspect and not me. Thank you so much for embodying that part of consciousness that I don't need to embody it, but I still want to drive over you. So if you also have some contradictory aspects of your life, that's okay. We all work on ourselves. Being mindful of it and being aware of it, that's the first step to that inner healing, to that inner knowing. So just knowing that everything is connected, just knowing that we are all one, that doesn't make it easier. A lot of the times it makes it more difficult, because now you know that that person that irritates the living daylight out of me is just a reflection of me. It's just a part of me telling me to look at myself and see where I am creating that frustration. It still doesn't make it easier, right? Knowing doesn't always make it easier. Knowing sometimes make it even more difficult, because now you have that knowledge of what the thing is you have to work on, and now you are obligated to do something about it. The nice thing though is this reality is set up in such a beautiful way, guys. Just think about it. When somebody irritates you, when somebody triggers you, they're actually doing you a favor. They're just showing you where you're not showing up for yourself, where you're not in harmony and balance with who you truly are yet. Because a person that has, in theory, mastered themselves fully, nothing will ever be able to trigger them, right? Because everything would have been resolved. If each and every system in that person is perfectly aligned with a life they love, creating that beautiful harmony, they'll probably be a ascended master or higher up in the ranks, if you want to call it ranks or whatever you want to call it. Even in the Christian Bible, Jesus got upset, went and created a whip and chased people out of a building, whether that was true or not. So he also was like, nope. So the nice thing about that was, at least he went to cool off first, because it takes about 6 to 12 hours to build a whip from scratch. I have made my own before, and I'm telling you, that's quite a lot of work. So by the time you go back, you're definitely cool and calm and collected, but that's besides the point. We have these internal systems of consciousness that are creating our reality seamlessly, and everything in our reality reflects what we are and who we are. And no matter what you do, you'll never get away from yourself. You can go to a different town, a different country, a freaking different planet or universe if you'd like to. You can even commit suicide and go to a different life. You will never be able to run away from your systems of consciousness, from yourself. Trust me. I have died in this last 6 years around 7 or 8 times. It's hard to keep track. One of those times I committed suicide. And here I am. Because I chose this life. I chose to go through these experiences. And I have certain systems I want to integrate, merge, reprogram to create a specific reality. So I came back. I chose to. That's the other beautiful thing about life and death. There is no such thing as death in any case. Whether you believe in it or not, it's definitely an illusion that we are living by. One of the false pretenses that most religions bestows upon us to keep us in a fear-based system so that we can buy into their ideologies or ideologies. Interesting English words today. So that we can buy into their ideologies and pay them subscriptions so that we can get out of the fear, but it's still driven by fear. If you know what I mean, just throw a thumbs up. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. I lived that life, I've gone through it, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own lives, we're responsible for our own choices, our own actions, because not even death can keep us from achieving our goals. I've got this clear memory of how when I jumped off the cliff head first, making sure that it'll end my life. When I hit the ground, I went straight through time back into myself as a baby. And that made me super angry because I had all my memory being a baby again. My memory started fading slowly over a couple of weeks, and then I was just a child again. I had to redo my entire life with this one thought and feeling in the background, reminding me that I'm too afraid to ever do it again. So when I ended up in the same space, I survived. Reality is a strange thing. One thing that is super true about reality is it's not solid. It's not solid. Reality is fluid. Reality is moldable, and reality can be shaped to our will, to our desires, and according to our internal systems of consciousness. You might think, yeah, but how the heck can you say that reality isn't solid because when I touch a table, it's freaking solid. I can't go through it. That's just a perception. It's just that appearance of being solid. But actually it's not. Reality is very lucrative. Very, very moldable. Just take psychedelics and you'll see how quickly reality starts changing. I had this one experience where I took this specific mind-altering substance and wow, the way reality changed was incredible. Then you realize, you know what, reality can be very, very easily manipulated and changed. If you look at, what's the word now? Optical illusions, that's the word I was looking for. If you look at optical illusions, our mind can be fooled very easily. So when we start mastering our own chakras, when we start taking back that power into our own hands, creating abundance and freedom and joy and happiness, we start to realize that when we become commander of our own energy and reality again, that our reality truly starts to shape and change very, very easily. Very rapidly. At first I didn't believe it myself. I was like, there's no way that we can shape our reality that easily. But you know what? When you truly go through this process of mastering your chakras, when you truly go through this process of embodying your truest self, when you truly start taking back that command of your energy, then you start to realize, but I can consciously create and shape my reality. It's actually very easy. Every choice we make, everything we do shapes our reality, every thought that we make. I've seen this last couple of years how my reality changed just by joking about it. And what I refer to by mastering your chakras, if you don't know what the chakras are, they are these beautiful, fantastic energy centers throughout our body. If you look at it from a scientific perspective, we are electromagnetical beings. Everything in this reality is electrical and magnetical. Now, our chakras are these energy centers that creates the flow of energy in our body. We've got 13 of those chakra systems, where most of them are in our body and a couple are outside our body, outside our auric field, to create balance. And if you're wondering why there are 13 and you've only seen on the internet 7 chakras, it's because they deliberately removed the other chakras, specifically our Earth star, our soul star, and our galactic star chakras, to keep us from mastering our chakras. Because once you have embodied, aligned, and reactivated all 13 your chakras, then you are the master of your own energy. So our chakras are these beautiful, colorful energy points. So let's look at it from this perspective as well. We have emotions, energy in motion, and every emotion is energy that flows in a motion. And our energy flows through our chakras, through our body, through our auric field, creating our reality. And as we create our reality through our chakras, through our systems, this flow of energy ebbs and flows and creates and molds and shapes. Nikola Tesla said, if we want to understand the universe, we have to look at it in the form of energy, frequency, and vibration. So every single thing is vibrating at a certain frequency, a certain vibration. Now this is where this whole illusion of reality being solid or not so solid comes from, because the lower the vibration, the more dense the vibration, the more solid something will appear. The higher the frequency, the higher vibration, the more fluid or gas-like or empty or light something will appear. And as we start to embody our chakras, as we start to master our own energy, we start to realize that we can change this frequency. And as we activate our chakras, we have the ability to recreate and to stabilize our reality creation process in our system, in our body, in our energy field, in our minds, in our thoughts, in our heart. But also know this. Going to a Reiki practitioner or an energy healer and telling them, you know what, my throat chakra is blocked, or I need to activate my pineal gland because I can't see my vision and I can't speak my truth, and you have them activated fully, it might be a complete screw up. That happened to me. When I just started on my journey of expansion, the first thing that I saw was one of Jerry Sargent's podcasts or a video that he was talking about energy work. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So I did some energy work on my wife and amazing things happened. I'm like, I want to be a Reiki master. No offense to anybody that's doing Reiki, but I don't believe in the way they do it, in the process they do it, because of our internal systems of consciousness and how they create our reality. So what I did was I did a Reiki master class, and I got my certificate in being a Reiki master, and I got my first client. I went to this person, I did a session for them. It was about an hour session or 30-minute session, I can't even remember. And by the next day, it was the following day, about for the next 3 or 4 days, that person experienced the most chaos that she ever experienced in her entire life. It was super crazy. Everything went wrong. I had no idea why, but now I know. It's because we have that internal systems that creates our reality. And now you go and open your chakras, you connect all the chakras, you connect that flow, and you start enabling the full power of your chakra system. So now your systems of consciousness uses that empowered flow of energy to create the reality they are designed to. And that might look like chaos. So in this specific person's life, her systems was obviously creating a life of chaos and abundance of lack and destruction. And now I empowered and cleared her chakras and realigned the energy. So now she created that with super ease and speed and flow. So just going to a practitioner and opening your chakras, activating the dormant chakras, reawakening your third eye or your throat, but you're not steering that energy in the right direction. You're creating absolute chaos for yourself. So what you want to do is get to a place where you first understand what that chakra is in the first place, why you have that energy center, what it is connected to, where is that energy going. Do I maybe have belief systems of consciousness that is using that energy from that chakra to create something that doesn't align with a life that I prefer? Is it creating destruction? Is it creating an abundance of lack? Or whatever it is, we first want to figure that out. And the way we do that is by embarking on a journey where there's somebody that can guide you. And if you truly want to master your chakras, if you truly want to create a life that you love, we can talk about that. I can show you how. I can equip you with the tools. But you first need to make that choice. For we are the creators of our own reality, and we need to take that power back. We are in a new age, in the start of a golden age, and everybody is starting to realize that the Christ is within. It's not something external. I have the ability to take back command of my own energy. And everybody is waking up to this truth, but not everybody knows how to get there. I know I had no idea how to get there. I know I had no idea of how to get to that end result. I just knew that things need to change. I just knew I am connected to so many things, that I'm aware of so many things. I could see dragons, and I can see the energy in your body. I can see into the past and the future sometimes. I can see into parallel lives. I can connect to extraterrestrials and all these supernatural amazing things. I can work with energy, but what is it good for if I don't know how to utilize it in a way that is positive, in a way that is productive, in a way that is creating a life that I prefer? So by mastering your chakras through knowing your inner systems, it's such a crucial part of this journey. Getting the tools, getting the knowledge makes the worlds different. And knowing that you don't have to do this alone. You shouldn't do this alone. This journey of expansion is not a solitude journey. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not a solo journey. Mastering yourself, becoming a commander of your own energy, that is something that requires a team. Even if that team is only you and a guide, that's okay. Sometimes we don't need more than one guide. Sometimes you want a whole village to help, your whole community. I have that community. I have that support system. But when we start looking, what you're looking for is looking for you as well. But knowing how to look helps. Having the tools. If you're going through this journey of expansion and you feel like I'm all alone, I don't know how to do this because I know I have to expand, I want to expand, I'm not happy with living a 3D life anymore, I'm not happy with a 9 to 5, I'm not happy with just getting by. But how the do I get where those other people are? How do you get where I am at this moment? Being free, speaking my truth, living the life I love. How do you get there? First of all, by choice, by getting somebody to walk that journey with you. This is why people like I am here, to help you in that journey of expansion, to show you more of yourself. But remember, even me as a facilitator of consciousness, as somebody that has mastered my own chakras, or in the process of mastering my own chakras, I feel there's always more to master. We will never arrive, not in this life, not in this dimension in any case. There's always more to embody, always more expansion to be done. Remember that a facilitator cannot do the work for you. You have to do the work. We can give you the tools, we can show you the way, but you need to do the work yourself. You need to invest in yourself. You need to create that investment. Invest in your mind. By investing your mind, that encompasses your time, your money, your thoughts, your actions, your energy. That's what it means to truly invest fully in yourself. And if you want to fully invest in yourself in something that truly works, this might be your call. This might be the answer to what you're looking for. If you want to create abundance in your life, if you want to create health in your life, if you want to find that partner that you truly desire, if you want to get to that place where you can play again, if you're frustrated, if you feel alone, if you feel separated from the world and from your purpose, maybe this is your call. Just know that I cannot do the work for you. The same way my guides could not do the work for me, I had to do the work myself. They equipped me with all the tools, but I physically had to do it. If I didn't go and sit with myself and work with my systems, if I didn't meditate, if I didn't go and speak to my inner parts of my being, if I didn't dream, I would have never got to the end result. I would have never been able to sit here today and say that I came out of the worst possible place you can be, from ultimate stagnation to activation. Woohoo! You know, it's possible. I know it's possible because I've been there. I've gone through that. I know what it's like to be in that space of having nothing, of truly just wanting to quit on life and on everything, not knowing how to get ahead of life. I know what it feels like not to have any money left, not to have any energy left, not to have any friends, true friends left. I know what it feels like, and I know what it feels like to go through the process of embodying myself. I know what it feels like to embody my shadow, to go through the dark night of my soul. When you start going through the dark night of your soul, they usually say it's a dark night of the soul, but I went through a year of the dark night of my soul. It took me an entire year to go through that process. And that can be tough because there was a lot of shadow aspects that I needed to face, that I was hiding and trying to get rid of due to religion, that separation, that ultimate separation of good and evil, of right and wrong, of God and Satan. But at the end of the day, you'll realize that that parable about God and Satan is just two sides of the same coin. Heaven and hell is two sides of the same coin. You will always hear they say heaven is above and hell is below and the earth is in the middle. It's such a beautiful hidden gem telling you that heaven, one side of the coin, earth, the middle, the 0 point, and hell, the shadow at the bottom. Two sides, one coin, three perspectives. And that is how our being is also set up. We've got the light, we've got the shadow, and we've got the 0 point in our heart. And when we start focusing on that 0 point in our heart, when we go sit in that 0 point, we can start experiencing all kinds of magic. Amazing, beautiful magic. But first we need to go and sit still. First we need to sit with ourselves and say, I want to do something different. I want to become the master of my own energy again. I want to take charge. I want to go from self-sabotage, I want to go from procrastination to activation. I can only say this because I've been there. I've gone through it. Coming through suicide, coming through almost completely ruining my relationship with my partner, coming from losing my job, wanting to quit on life, on the 3D system, on everything, embodying my masters, embodying my chakras, getting to know my internal systems, and shifting into a space where they now create a life that I love. I know what it's like, guys. If this is something you truly want to create for yourself, let's talk. Because it's possible, it's attainable, and there is a process, there is a way to attain it. There is a way to go from stagnation to activation. There is a way to get that ultimate success, that ultimate freedom. But you will be challenged. Trust me. If you think you're going to go to my bio, schedule a call, enroll in my program, or you're going to master your chakras and it's going to be sunshine and roses and everybody's going to do everything for you, you're in for a big surprise. It takes dedication. But this is why we are here, to help you, to guide you, to nudge you in the right direction, to say, hey, remember, you made a choice to create a life that you love, to get out of that shit you're in, so that you can embody who you truly are. This is why we are here. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys understand at least some of what I said.